Hello, everyone. Welcome back once again to the second session of our day two of the National Conference on large-scale grid integration. In this panel discussion or in this session, we will be shifting our focus to look at some of the enablers for large-scale integration of renewable energy, automatic generation control. AGC is a major control function for adjusting the power output in response to changes in load and is an essential tool for providing secondary reserve support. India's Central Electricity Regulatory Commission, or CRC, outlined a roadmap in October 2015 for implementing reserves in a phased manner. AGC implementation for secondary control was a key requirement. Subsequently, the National Load Dispatch Center and POSOCO outlined the need for AGC pilot across India's grid region, covering all forms of generation, thermal, hydro, and renewable energy, before the regulation and procedure for nationwide launch could be framed. In this particular session, we will be presenting a context-setting presentation will be made, which covers the learnings from the pilot that were undertaken as a part of GTG RISE of deploying AGC at hydro and solar power plant. And it would be followed by a panel discussion, which will be digging deeper into what needs to be done to, deploy AGC at the national level. So with that, let me first quickly introduce our first presenter, Dr. Chandrasekhar Alta, who is with the Power Research and Development Consultant Private Limited, or PRDC. He has over 13 years of experience in power system consultancy. Dr. Alta has extensive experience on battery energy storage system and its grid services, power system operation, power system planning, energy management system, production cost model, and many areas of expertise he has. Dr. Alta was also the pilot manager for the AGC control pilot, which were undertaken as a part of the GTG RISE initiative. With that, let me hand over the floor to Dr. Alta for taking forward and making the presentation. So over to you, Chandra.
Good afternoon to all. So I will brief about the activity and the pilot has been taken up under the GTG RISE program. So that is the automatic generation control, both at hydropower plants and at solar power plant. So the scope of the pilot was initiated in the year 2017 to implement the AGC at two hydro power plants. So one is at Saravati. So it is installed capacity of 1035 megawatt, and Varahi it is 460 megawatt. And in addition to the two hydro power plants, so one solar power plant has been identified, that is NTPC's NP Kunta solar power plant, which has the installed capacity of 250 megawatt. So the intention of this pilot is to enable the AGC in providing the secondary response to supplement the adoption of AGC, basically for the secondary ancillary market and to support more renewables into the system, and to see that how the response from the units are coming and to generate the use cases. So the outcomes to demonstrate the benefits of AGC to the grid operators, whereas here for the hydro units, the grid operator is the state grid operator, that is state load dispatch centers, and for the solar power plant, it is NLDC, National Load Dispatch Center, and also to assist the electricity regulatory commissions in setting up the appropriate levels of incentive in the tariffs. So the inputs to provide to the state and central regulators depend upon the type of the pilots. So with this scope and outcomes in mind, so the two pilots are designed in 2017. So the pilot journey started, as I mentioned, 2017 for the hydro pilot, and followed by the feasibility visits to respective hydro power plant to understand the existing facilities, so that we can understand what can be added at both at the hydro plant side, also at the system operator side. And in 2018, we taken up the AGC solar pilot. So after initiating the two pilots in 2017 and 18, and then moved on to the preparation of the required facilities, the vendors has been identified in 2019. So at Sharavati Hydropower Plant, ABB has been identified as an implementing agency, and at the Varahi, it is Andritz. And similarly, when it comes to the solar, it has been identified in 2020. So that is ABB is implementing at NTPC Solar. And we completed the AGC Hydro Go Live in the 2020 and AGC Solar in 2021. So this is the roadmaps that we achieved under this pilot. And if you see the major interventions has been done to make hydro units to run under the AGC. So this is, as I mentioned, ABB has implemented Sharavati at the Sharavati Hydro Power Plant and Andritz at Varahi. The enhancements basically taken up the two aspects at the hydro power plants. The one is to make the two-way communications. And this is not only specific to this hydro or any other type of generation, and most of the power plants in India has one-way communications, and where only the signals from the hydro units or the units comes to the system operators. So that's where, but AGC requires the two-way communication. And that's the first activity we had taken up. And the second activity which has been taken up is the software facilities required at the hydropower plant. So basically it comes under the controller. So the two activities has been taken up both at Sharavati, which has 10 into 103.5 megawatt, and at Varahi 4 into 115 megawatts. After completing these activities, so we have taken up the other activity, that is enhancement of existing control facilities at Karnataka State Load Dispatch Center. So Karnataka State Load Dispatch Center already has the energy management system, and also they have the communication facilities. So on existing setup, so we added the AGC module configuration with the help of ABB, and we made the system up at the State Load Dispatch Center. Once the State Load Dispatch Center and at the site of the hydro stations or the system is up, so we started the Go Live event in December 2020. And when it comes to the SLDC, you can see here, it is mostly applicable all the state load dispatch centers in India. And as you know, the area control error. So generally it comes from the regional load dispatch centers. So here in this case, it is SRLDC, Southern Region Load Dispatch Center, will provide the area control error for each state. So as we already getting a area control error from the SRLDC, we have bypassed the left side like a frequency or maybe tie-line schedules, which calculates under the AGC module. So that has been bypassed and taken directly signal from the SRLDC. And this module has been configured like a PI controller, AGC algorithm. And this AGC module at State Load Dispatch Center has been implemented with the two-way communication. So that means it is basically closed loop operation. So the response of the generators will be continuously monitored in the time scale of 2 to 4 seconds, and then the required signal will be given to the generators as per the area controller. So in that case, so you can maintain the deviation at the state boundary as near to your schedules. So this is the philosophy has been adopted in the AGC implementation. And during the Go Live, and we did the Go Live in the December for the Sharavati Hydro Plant and in January for the Varahi Hydro Power Plant. We have mapped the AGC signals, tested the two-way communications, and first initially at the unit level, and later on at the plant level. And under the AGC, to make the important point, full control will be their master control with the hydro plant operator, because that is very much required. He knows about what are the plant side constraints. So once he enables the AGC, system operator can take the control over there. And it has been observed that during the go live, the response of the hydro units are coming in line with the AGC response asked by LDC. And these are the to showcase the AGC pilot test runs. You can see the down graph where no AGC, and the signal is just following the local set point given by the plant operator. But whereas in the top graph, if you see within the boundaries, so you can see the local set point is very upper side in the first local set point. If you see here about 80 and above. However, grid requires low response from the generator. So now the generator is responding not to the local set point, but AGC signal received from LDC, because that LDC, the response is now controlled by the LDC. And we have made so many checks because we have to make sure that generators operate under the AGC should not get any other implications. So we have made a one check at SLDC so that it won't cross the ramp rates of the generators. And also at the plant side, we have made a couple of checks, like at any point of time, AGC signal will not go beyond the technical, beyond the maximum or below the technical minimum. And the similar way, at given time, the AGC response can be set by the operator with 5% or 10% max. So that means if the unit is generating at 80 megawatt, you can ask the AGC response. Maybe if you set at 10, so then it will come to the 88 or 72 megawatt. So considering all the logics has been implemented and various use cases has been implemented. The first simple use case is just check whether the generators are responding as per the SLDC, AGC signals. And we have tested both regulation up, regulation down of the generators, followed by AGC signals has been generated at SLDC, as I mentioned earlier, based on the ACE, and as well as the frequency, by seeing the frequency, how the AGC signals will be generated and given to the plants. And we also did one extended the use cases to see that whether the AGC can help the system operator to minimize the deviation settlement mechanism, which has been linked to the frequency. So the logic has been implemented and the DSM has been linked with the frequency, and that signal has been given to the AGC module at SLDC, and it generated the signals and given the AGC. So that helps the system operators to minimize even the DSM. So AGC module that will be added use case. And followed by to the AGC Hydro. So as I mentioned earlier, 2019 the vendors has been identified, and 2020 for the AGC Solar. And we completed now the deployment and commissioning at NP Kunta Solar Power Plant, and use cases we are going to run in maybe next week. On the system at the NTPC solar side, you can see the left-hand side. So we have 50 megawatt blocks, the total of 5 blocks, which are connected at a 33 kV level, and it is connected to the pooling substation, 220 kV pooling substation. And from there, it is connected to the 400 kV substation. And if you refer to the communication perspective, right-hand figure, and you can see here, we have the different make inverters. Some inverters are ABB make, some other are Hitachi make. And we have the, at each 50 megawatt block, we have the SCADA developers developed by Rockwell, BHEL, and GE. And then we have the intermediate connection points at 220 kV substation, and then 400 kV and then this. So the aim of this activity here is to make a control of all these blocks downstream and make a virtual power plants to the NLDC. So NLDC gives the signals and it will come through this 400 kV, 220 kV and to the NTPC and take back the responses. So that was the intention, and we proposed the aggregator to be placed at the NP Kunta solar power plant to take care of that. So here implemented vendor is the ABB implemented that. And if you see the right hand side, the AGC aggregator has been placed at one of the block at the NTPC solar power plant location, that is P3 block, 50 megawatt. And as per this scope, we implemented the AGC for 4 blocks, that's P1, P2, P3, and P5. All blocks earlier has the one way. Now we made that into two-way communication, and I'll interact with the AGC on all the logics controls will be taken care by the AGC aggregator, and this AGC aggregator signals pass through the 220 kV and 400 kV substation. It reaches to the NLDC. So at NLDC, NLDC can control this complete plant as a single virtual plant, like a 250 megawatt block, or NLDC can also give the individual block-wise signals in the specific condition. Now, when it comes to the control, the adopted philosophy here is the left side, if you can see it. Is very critical for any AGC implementation, especially for the renewable energy sources, where you cannot schedule accurately because you cannot forecast as much as accuracy. You can do the forecast, maybe 10-15% error always will be there. So to avoid that scheduling and forecasting and then error comes into picture. So what we made the philosophy here is by imagining that this each solar panel is connected to the 1 megawatt inverter. So identify the inverters in each block and make it couple of inverters as reference inverters, maybe 10-20% of the inverters as reference. So that means you are not going to control those inverters. Those will act as a reference. Remaining inverters you can control, so that you can quantify how the inverters are responding. Basically in the regulation down, especially in critical cases, if you operate the plant at lower than the availability, then you can think about the regulation up also. But in this pilot, we are mostly concentrating on the regulation down activity, and regulation up just one use case to check how it is happens. So this is the philosophy we adopted, and the commissioning completed now. And in this next week, we are testing the final use cases at AGC solar power plant. And considering the use cases and the philosophy, what we follow in India, the renewables and the system operation, these are the technical and economic benefits we observed during the pilot use cases at AGC Hydro. The one is reduction in renewable curtailment, because the flexibility comes from now hydro units in terms of your regulating your variations, and smooth operation that helped a lot for the system operator to maintain the tie-line power flows as per their schedules, and also it maintain the frequency near to 50. So the advantage is, as long as you have more AGC units, so that you can add more renewables. The more renewables coming into the grid means is a low cost renewables. So finally, you will end up with minimizing your power procurement cost. The another advantage what we observed is you need to run the other flexible units like a gas unit, something like that, because the flexibility is coming from through the AGC. The another achievement we made is the optimization of a deviation settlement mechanism, because both the hydro plants are given a cushion about 1 to 120 megawatt, which is very huge to make a deviation settlement at the state level. And another ramp control has been well observed. And the reduction, the other way around, it is not the conclusion part, not tested like that is the case. Like you can release some of the primary reserves because AGC replaces some of the primary reserves, so that primary reserves can go to the mainstream of schedule. So these are the technical and economic benefits what we observed through the pilot test runs. So this is what I wanted to share through our pilot experience. Thank you. Over to you, Monali.
Thank you so much, Chandra. And ladies and gentlemen, we also wanted to take the opportunity to release a technical report on the learnings of the pilot, which is showcased here. This will be uploaded on GTG's RISE website, but it encapsulates the journey which and some of the key findings which Chandra has covered in his presentation. So please be sure to download a copy of this report, and it would be especially handy for all the utilities and generating utilities who would like to deploy AGC. With that, we now move on to a short video, which again is similar to other session, captures the journey of AGC pilot which has been conducted in partnership with KPCL as well as KPTCL and NTPC. As well as POSOCO, which has been kind of a guiding force in the pilot implementation. So can I request AV team to please show the video, start the video.
India's transforming energy landscape, with stronger than ever thrust on renewable energy, holds manifold promises for the country's enhanced energy security, reduced oil imports, improved air quality, and low carbon growth. Energy sustains life, and renewable energy empowers our sustenance. India's clean energy transition continues at much faster pace, with focus on non-fossil, fuel-based generation, self-reliance, climate action, technology advancement, economic growth, and energy security. At present, India's installed renewable energy capacity has crossed 100 gigawatt, excluding large hydro, showcasing remarkable response to India's commitment to deploy 450 gigawatt renewable energy by 2030. Ensuring the power system's reliability in the face of increased renewable energy penetration is of central significance to power system operators. To address this, an array of ancillary services needs to be maintained to allow balancing of energy supply and demand in real time. Regulation reserves are used to constantly automatically balance small fluctuations in supply and demand in real time. Generation units that are providing regulation services must be able to respond to automatic generation control or AGC signals from the system operator and change their output accordingly on very short time scales, typically 2 to 5 seconds. Considering the future growth of renewable energy to meet the Government of India's targets, regulation reserves have been identified as necessary to compensate variations due to load and renewable energy in the seconds time frame. One of the pilots implemented under USAID's GTG RISE initiative aimed at supporting the adoption of AGC through enhancement of existing IT-based control facilities at 2 hydro units, Varahi and Shravati, in Karnataka, as well as a solar plant in NP Kunta.
GTG RISE also come out with a successful implementation of this project, and only the implementation phase is pending, so that will be completed also. And now I'm proud to say that we have almost 44 gigawatt of conventional generators are operating in the automatic generation control in the country, and NP Gunda is the solar. It is going to come as a pilot project, and then it will be integrated with NLDC for their study purpose and giving a report, so that it will helpful for the all other solar power plant can come across the AGC, because flexibilization is required because of the integration of the renewables. So this AGC automatic generation control will play the role for smoothening the frequency, at the same time helping the grid in the secure operation.
Partnering with Karnataka Power Corporation, Karnataka Power Transmission Company Limited, NTPC and POSOCO, the pilot identified technical requirements and compensation mechanisms for generation units that participate in the secondary reserve market.
How quickly the states will come on board with the initiatives taken from the center. So any policy or anything will be successful when, and both the approaches are there. One is the top-down approach, another is the bottom-up approach. Now all these pilots are from the top-down, giving a feeling that yes, this can be implemented and this can be adopted.
This strategic clean energy partnership between the United States and India captures their resolute commitment to a cleaner and sustainable environment, the 2 watchwords of the 21st century.
I do hope that everybody enjoyed the video. of expertise. Once again, welcome back, and I do hope that you were able to enjoy the video. These will be uploaded on GTG Rise YouTube, and you can also once again view it for your pleasure. So let me quickly introduce Dr. Nagaraja, who will be moderating our next session, panel discussion. Dr. R. Nagaraja is the founder and managing director of PRDC, or Power Research and Development Consultant Private Limited. He has vast experience of 27 years in the field of power system simulation and consulting. His specialization include power system analysis, operation, power engineering, education, and many more. He was a key contributor in the formulation of the wind energy grid code in India. Dr. Nagaraja has worked in the smart grid sphere and has guided the development of tools as a part of SCADA and EMS in power sector. We were fortunate to have Dr. Nagaraja as a senior advisor with GTG Rise initiative. And Dr. Nagaraja is also a well-known member of IEEE, as well as currently is the chapter representative for the Power Engineering Society. So with that, let me hand over the floor to Dr. Nagaraja to introduce the panel members and take the discussion forward. So over to you, Dr. Nagaraja.
Okay. Thank you, Manali. Am I audible? At the outset, let me thank the GTG team for giving me an opportunity to participate and moderate this session. And I would like to congratulate GTG Rise team, Manali, and also the entire participants who have successfully contributed for the implementation of the pilot project. For any successful implementation of the AGC, we need to understand the regulating the steady state system frequency, how it can be controlled, maintaining the tie-line power flow very close to the schedule value, and also as part of the AGC, we need to ensure that the overshoot is also very minimum. When we look into this panel, we have the great personalities in the field of the power system and also the system operation and the renewable energy generation. I would like to introduce Dr. Balaraman, who is the Director General, National Institute of Wind Energy, NIWE. He is the director and he has worked extensively in the field of the renewable energy. His expertise is not just within India, but the various projects. I'm happy to tell you that he was also instrumental in the initial starting of this GTG Rise project. He was one of the team members earlier. And his international experience is not only within India, but England, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, UAE, various other countries. The next panelist we have is System Operator POSOCO from Mr. N. Nallarasan, General Manager. And even during the night, mid of the night, you wake him up, he is going to speak about the AGC, because last 4 years or 5 years, he had dreamt nothing other than the automatic generation control. He has worked in the various organizations, NLCIL, CEA, Power Grid, and also at present, he is the CGM in the POSOCO. And his areas includes the power system operation, power system protection, and various other studies. We also have from the manufacturer and also the vendor who actually knows the system very well, that is Mangesh Navarange, Sales Director and the Digital Lead from ABB India Limited. He has extensively worked in the Digital Lead for India since 2019, and he has got about 23 years of industrial experience. He has been with the ABB India for the last 9 years, and he is responsible for the software solutions in the power plants. Therefore, he knows how actually the AGC can be implemented in the various power plant. If you look at the successful implementation of the AGC in the thermal power plant, NTPC plays a very important role, and NTPC is also looking into the, as part of this destructive technology, when the conventional thermal power plant comes down, they are entering into both renewable energy generation in the solar and also the electric vehicle in a big way. Therefore, we have Sushman Kumari, AGM NTPC Limited, to speak about how the NTPC is gearing up for the implementation of the AGC across the other plants, and she has played a major role in the process automation and real-time data visibility connecting all NTPC generating stations. At present, leading a prestigious project on the advanced data analytics and visualization platform for the operation area in NTPC. We have one more panelist, Mr. Vahan Georgian from NREL. I think he has not yet joined, but mostly he will be joining. And he is working with NREL from October 1994 and has served many roles over the years. He is currently working with the transmission in the grid integration group, and we should be able to hear how the AGC is successfully implemented and is in operation in the North America. Therefore, I welcome all the panelists, and then in order to have a fruitful discussions which will enable the participant, let us start with actually how the AGC can be looked into in terms of your viewpoints. Therefore, I request Dr. Balaraman to consolidate his understanding of the AGC, very specific to renewable energy, in about 2 to 3 minutes. Over to you, Dr. Balaraman.
Thank you, sir. And good afternoon to all of my friends. And thanks, DTG team and Monali, for inviting me for this panel discussion. It's a prestigious one. And as you're aware, today we are already crossed the threshold of 100 gigawatts of renewable energy in the country. And we are presently at 104 gigawatts in the renewable energy integration part of it. And moving forward, by 2022, we are talking 175, and by 2030, the 450 gigawatt of installed capacity of RE. So when you're trying to talk about, when you say the RE to be the main contributor to the grid, definitely whatever the things are needed in the conventional system need to be incorporated in the RE sector. And in this particular record, I try to divide the aspect into two aspects of it. One is on the technical part, the other is a commercial. And if you talk about technical part of it, today the modern wind turbine and the smart inverters both are capable of doing whatever the conventional system is going to do it. Be it a primary response, be it an AGC or secondary response, or be it on the controlling aspect of it, every aspect it can be mimicked. Because it's possible with the technology advances what you are seeing today. And a modern wind turbine, as you are seeing very clearly, it can even take care of the inertia response what is needed. So coming back to the second aspect is on the commercial part of it. As you're aware, when you're trying to talk about renewable energy, it is going to be depend on the resource what's available. The moment you try to operate, the resource is not getting utilized. I don't say it's a wasted, but I say very clearly not utilized. And today, if you talk about the renewable energy getting paid based on the energy produced. So when you're trying to talk about energy produced, when the resource is available, and energy is not produced, definitely there is going to be an issue on the commercial aspect of the investors as well as developer part of it. So we need to address one technical aspect of it. Yes, it is possible, and with a kind of a control what we are going to have it, and also by adding additional tools, we can make these renewable energy to be participate in the all type of grid operation part of it. And moving forward, we need to have an enabling framework on the commercial mechanism, how we are going to compensate for the loss of generation when they are participating for the primary response or the secondary response part of it. I think I'll stop here. I'll try to take additional questions as we move forward.
Thank you, Dr. Balaraman. Now I move on to Mr. Nallarasan, who has actually dreamt about the implementation of the AGC and was a driving force for the implementation of the first pilot at the Dadri and later both at Sharavati and Varahi. His inputs were very well acclaimed. Therefore, over to you, Nallarasan. From the grid operator perspective, I would like you to speak about 2 to 3 minutes. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Sir. Thank you, Monali and Dr. Chandrasekhar and our panelists also. Good afternoon to all participants. Actually, really, it is what Nagaraja told. It is a dream. So it's a dream only. We have studied in the college that primary, secondary, and tertiary. Response, resource, and everything. But in India, whether we could able to implement, whether in which year we are going to follow, which year we going to do that. So this is a big dream for us actually. Total among the 35 years of experience, the way in which the country gone in the power supply, it is a deficient manner, and then we came to the adequacy. Down there is a one point of time, there is a after the regulations, there are some unutilized capacities are available in the grid. That is called unrequisitioned surplus URS. So we try to identify that one. We could able to see that there is a ample of 4,000 to 6,000 megawatt. In the real time it is available, except in the peak period. So why we cannot use it? So at that time, implementation of the AGC also thought of it, but due to technology and the lot of discussions and everything, how the things will be implemented in India, that still the discussion was done. So first we implemented the RRS, utilizing the existing the resources whatever available in the grid. Then after that FRS for the hydro. Then subsequently what happened, we taken up with the regulator, and the 13/10/2015 is a landmark for the Indian grid, where actually the appreciation of reserves in the roadmap they made it on that, what Monali has told in the beginning actually. So that has enabled us to go for the discussion. And in other countries compared to India, India is a unique implementation of the AGC. It is not like other countries because individual, it is a one area, one control area, as well as another thing is there, it will be controlled by the centralized portion. So here we are having a 5 control centers and 5 control area and 1 national area. So we have made the AGC in such a way that in all combinations of the AGC principle, you can have the tie line control, you can have a frequency control, you can have a tie line bias control. So based on the hierarchy, we can operate the grid. So accordingly, what happened, NLDC after the discussions and everything, and the pilot project we started with the Dadri. Anyway, I will, if any questions are asked, we can come to that. Then after that, subsequently, there are 4 more pilot projects we implemented in all the regions. The experience gained, it has helped a lot. Now the country is, total 80 gigawatt plants are identified. And then now at present, 40 gigawatt plants are in operation from 21st July onwards. So I'm proud to say that it is a dream, it is achievable in the country. And moreover, because of the adequacy generation, because of the merit order, and then because of the market regulations, so it is enabled us to that. The frequency smoothing was going on, as Nagaraj told you, that it is actually smoothing of frequency as well as we can have a tie line control. So with this, actually, I will close this. Over to Nagaraj.
Thank you, Nallarasan. In fact, our national system operator POSOCO has become a role model for almost all the state low dispatch centers, and then
happy, and it was going on. At the same time, now NP Gunda going to be coming, test cases going to be done in the most likely next week. And the communication, actually the major setback, a major problem was the mindset of all the thermal generators. So that we brought on the line. And then second thing is the communication is plays a major important role. It's a very good experience, and that can be shared to also. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Nallarasan. Now I request Sushma Kumari, AGM NTPC Limited, to speak about how the NTPC is looking into the experience that you have gained in about 2 to 3 minutes. Over to you, madam.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me on this eminent panel discussion forum. NTPC is a partner in implementing AGC along with the POSOCO and other with regulators also. The first AGC was implemented at Dadri, as Mr. Nallarson was briefly has said in his he has briefly said. After that, we had extended this pilot to different regions, and in each region we had one plant like Bad to Moda to Bongaigaon and Simadri. Approximately 5 gigawatt capacity was included in this AGC operations, and I'm happy to share that in India at approximately 85 gigawatt is going to be under AGC operation. Out of that, at present, NTPC 28 gigawatt is in operation, and another 27 gigawatt is under different stages of erection and commissioning, and soon it will be included in the fleet. This AGC will be implemented both in coal, gas, and in hydro also. I will speak about the experiences that NTPC is facing as an operator. First of all, NTPC, all our capacity is tied up, as our earlier speaker, Mr. Nallarson, was saying, that AGC is being implemented based on the available URS. There is no spinning reserve or spinning reserve assigned for the AGC as per se, but if whatever is available, that is being scheduled through AGC. So that is good for all the time, but during peak hours, maybe some constraints must be faced by our system operators in scheduling it. And in our for plant operators, the operation engineers in our plant, they are facing 3 challenges. I will just list out only 3 challenges, because the challenges they are facing is measurement and monitoring of generator response. Then the other one is commercial aspects, and third one is very sensitive, that is cyber security. The plant operators at present, it is since last month only, then 20th July onwards, majority of our plants are put on AGC. Maybe this is just a stabilization phase. The operation engineers are saying that we are getting a high quantum of AGC that needs to be delivered. That is a challenge for them many a times, because the performance as per the demand many a times does not meet the level. This can be addressed, I suppose, with more and more units, more and more stations, even IPPs and state GenCos. If they come into this picture, then maybe then I'm sure in future this will be again the quantum of AGC that will be coming to each stations will be a minimum, and that can be handled and that can be addressed. I think with time this will iron out. The performance measurement, as I mentioned in my first point also, it is a very complex system. The operators are at present at plants also, they are facing a bit as a challenge. They are taking it as a challenge, but they are not able to quantify on what account if my AGC operation has been up to the mark or not. And the incentives, as per the draft regulation that has come now, based on that I'm speaking on, that the incentives that has been categorized is based on the performance only. I think that needs to be, that can be reviewed with the experience that we will be gaining in few months and all. And the third point I would say is the cyber security. This is a very sensitive point in today's world. all our generators are connected to NLDC, and there is a two-way communication established. This should be, I'm sure at present also we are taking utmost care, and standards have been maintained, but this needs to a robust network security and regular updates and audit is the requirement for the day. So in solar plants, as our earlier speakers have said, it is yet to, we will be experiencing our performance in the next week or so. One point here I would like to add that for improvement of our AGC response, we may think of in future deploying of our battery storage systems along with our thermal conventional plants, and also side by side with the solar plants, where it will be a strategy. It will be a strategy implementation that needs to be worked out. Again, we are working on it. And that's all from the operations point of view from my side.
Thank you, Sushma Kumari. You touched upon one important aspect. AGC is required not just for our thermal power plants and also the solar and the wind we are talking about. It is also very much essential for the battery energy storage system and also the pumped energy storage system. And maybe we need to look, because over the period we also have to go for the HVDC system. Therefore, even the HVDC system also we need to see whether actually for the power control is going to provide the area control error in the frequency we can minimize. And also where we are trying to control the active power, that is the fast devices also, we can see whether the AGC signal can be utilized. With this remark, I would like to now request Mangesh Navarange from Director ABB Limited, from the technology perspective, from the equipment perspective, what is it actually ABB, his viewpoints on the AGC. Over to you, Mangesh.
Good afternoon, Mr. Nagaraj. Good afternoon, everyone, and really happy to represent ABB with the respected panel members. So thanks for the opportunity to ABB to implement pilot projects across hydro and solar, and also we are gaining experience of doing the same in thermal. From technology point of view, I think one good thing what I have seen is the standardized way of implementing the technology. So for example, be it communication with the grid operator, it's still IEC 104, so which is prevalent for a very long time. And as far as the interfacing is concerned, because AGC system is basically an interface between the grid operator and the power generators. So AGC systems interface on one side with the grid operators and on the other side with the generating system. And when we look at it, more than bottleneck, I would say it's important to know where the existing generators are in terms of their technology baseline. So for example, when we look at thermal, it's important that these thermal power plants are all implemented with the coordinated master control operations. That's very important when we implement AGC in thermal plants. Slightly different when we look at hydro and solar, especially for example, solar power plants. It's important that the interfacing available with the inverter and the response time. So these things should be known in advance so that the overall system response can be estimated. Honestly, not a lot of technology challenge, because as I said, all standard technologies have been used. One challenge really is somebody who is implementing it should be well versed with the power domain and how the power plants and power system works, and then working with generators, it makes it easy. Yeah, over to you, Mr. Nagaraja.
Thank you, Mangesh. In fact, we were able to look into the various aspects of the AGC from all the moderators. Therefore, Nallarasan keeps calling me as a professor, which implies that actually Now the extempore talk of the examination is over, but then we'll try to have actually the few questions from the moderator side before we are going to have the open defense. Therefore, with this, I would like to request Dr. Balaraman to see how the AGC operation for the wind and the solar power plants can be seen from the renewable plant perspective with respect to their performance life. Because we know that if you try to have the AGC control, at times the life of the wind farms specifically, it may come down. And also how the forecast is going to help in the AGC control signal generation. Dr. Balaraman.
Thank you, sir. It's a pertinent question in the audit domain. And here we are trying to have two aspects of it. One is we are trying to talk about how you can ensure the AGC operation which is going to support the grid operation part of it. The other one is very importantly, when you're trying to talk about support the grid, the forecasting of the RE is a critical aspect of it. And as you're aware, the National Institute of Wind Energy already have the Center for Excellence in the Forecasting, where we are doing the wind forecasting, wind power forecasting for the last 5 years. And we started the solar forecasting for the last 1 year. And our experience shows the wind forecasting, we could do almost like a 90% plus accuracy on the day ahead. On the intraday, we are going to move up to 95% accuracy on a state level. So in this perspective, if I try to talk about, if I say in the intraday, going up to say 3 hours or 5 hours, or it's a signal what's needed for AGC, we can definitely see the forecasting accuracy going up to 95 to 97%. So the forecasting system is already in place to move forward for implementation part of it. And coming back to the technology aspect of it, as I had already talked about in the previous comment what I made, the technical aspect and technology aspect of the wind turbine today is capable. I use the word capable of doing the AGC. But what we need is we need to have additional control to the device. And more importantly, an enabling mechanism is what is required, because the moment you are trying to talk about either the rolling down or going up regulation up or regulation down, both is going to involve curtailment of the energy what is getting produced. So how we are going to treat this curtailment of energy, unlike the concept power plant of the hydro or the thermal. So if you curtail it, the water is getting stored, it can be used for some other purpose. For a coal power plant, when you're talking about reduction, you can at least save the coal, whereas here, the wind and solar, I cannot sell it. So this is where the challenge is going to lie. How exactly the enabling mechanism is going to be made in terms of how we are going to form up the regulation up or regulation down. And once it is going to be, that kind of clarity is going to come, definitely the wind and solar can become, I use the word can become, the prime and the primary requirement as well as secondary reserve requirement for the power system.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Balaraman. Now, Mr. Nallarasan, see, you have got a vast experience gained by POSOCO and NLDC from the AGC pilots. You would like to hear from you what is that experience you have gained so that it will benefit the other load dispatch centers who are also participants of this seminar.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Sir. Once again, sharing the experience with a given, some brief time, it is very difficult to share all the things, whatever the thing. But in a brief, I can share that the mindset of the generator, mindset of the people, and mindset of the, the planners, mindset of the regulators, everybody, first of all, we have to bring them together. So that's a big task. We could able to do it in the initial phase, starting with our regulator. Then after that, there is a brainstorming session held between the Professor Anjan Bose and team from USA. Then we actually made it in that how the normally AGC will be controlled in the region. All already told. Atla is told it will be a SLDC based or RLDC based or a national level based. So the national level, we have defined it in the 5 regions as an independent control area. So that itself a big achievement, and considering their different inertia, power number, and everything. So that is one of the unique operations, AGC operation in the throughout the world. In other countries, there will be a one control, either it will be a frequency control, or maybe the local or region level, there will be a tie line based control or tie line control. But here we can have all 3 controls together. Any one of the regions we can put together in the frequency control or tie line based control independent. And after that, in progressively, we will be transferring all these control to the regions also in future. That is one thing. And coming to the mindset of the planners, and then other things and communications and other things. So it was a big experience to us that making a dual channel redundant communication, the dedicated communication between the NLDC to the respective power plant. So that is the thing. Power grid has helped a lot, and the local communication by the generator to the nearest substation, it has helped a lot. So almost all the channel, it just took almost 6 to 7 months for us to make the channel redundancy. So for all the power plants was identified. And another, the mindset of the next to the generator is there. All the generators we have to call. So we had a different, different type of meetings with the generators, and then for understanding the nuances in the AGC implementation as a planning point of view. Implementation still I have not come. So then after that, everybody came into the same platform, try to understand what we are going to do that. And then in the Dadri, physically we went there. Almost I was involved in all the five pilot project. Physically we went there, and then after that we interact with the power, system operators there also, power plant operating engineers also there. Unka mindset be hai that once AGC being implemented, that all generatory control will be taken by the NLDC. Then we have told it is not like that. It is a system operation requirement. So this has to be done. So bringing into that, another problem is that technically whether AGC will send the set point. So that will give us some sort of vibration, some sort of tripping in the machine. So this sort of technical aspects, actually each time when I visited the power plant, so there will be 2-3 meetings continuously living in the system operation and the instrumentation as well as in the mechanical side. So all the electrical side. So there will be a lot of questions, lot of things. So that it has been clarified. And initially the Dadri was a completely coordinated manner with a lot of apprehensions, and the same thing has been with the Simadri also. And when we start implementing at Mauda and Bogaigaon, almost we could able to convince all the people in the beginning itself. So actually now what happened, everybody is in the same uniformity. Now everybody knows that. And then we have told also, and we have told our regulator also that we have to give incentivize the system. So they have also done it. Hydro also they have done it. And then as well as our thermal also they have done it. So that has been helped a lot for this one. Experience wise, really it is a very, tangible experience, and each and every person we have to convince. Now everybody is in the same platform, very much happy. Now for your information, implementation of this whole 80 gigawatt NLDC team, nobody is going to the plant at all. Simply they are phoning, and then from there the ABB or whoever is this one, along with the request, the generator team fully involving. And now we could able to 40 gigawatt we could able to commission, and hydro also we could able, gas also we could able to do that on that. So this is experience, whatever, and one, two things, good things what we have done it, we brought out the uniform technical specification throughout the country. What is going to be implemented, what is it? So that is the main thing, it is cost. Equipment, whatever be the things, but these are the technical specification, this is a requirement, this is a power system point of view. So that has helped a lot. Second, communication. And third one is completely the awareness. So that awareness has created a lot of problems has been resolved. These are the three things, very, very good experience. And really now the 40 gigawatt implemented without not even a single person during a pandemic period also. We have not visited any plant. We have just phoned, and then we have collected and all loop test and everything done. Now even communication to NP Gulda also almost has been established. Most likely next week it will be going through. So that will also one of the solar. And hydro also, we could, based on the whatever discussion with your team, JTG Rails team. So that has helped a lot in the implementation in our NR hydro also. That's all from my side. And time is there, time is short, so I couldn't, rather I cannot explain more on this one. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Nallarasan. As you told rightly, the mindset is very important. When I first approached the Sharavati, because the Sharavati generation cost 1035 megawatt is around about 50 paisa or so. And they were actually had the apprehension whether it will be declared once they participate and successfully implement the pilot, whether this will be declared as a national asset. Therefore, I think it is very important that actually the mindset of the people for the acceptability of the AGC is very important. Now, Sushma Kumari, from the power plant perspective, what are the improvements or the additions to be taken up from the thermal solar generation plants in order to enable the AGC so that it will benefit the other participants?
Yeah. First of all, for implementation of AGC in thermal plants, the machine or the unit should be on coordinated master control. We in NTPC also, some of the older units like in Unchahar, we have not been able to put in AGC. That will be done with R&M and all. That again, that will be again brought on board. Then, as I mentioned again, the commercial aspects also needs to be looked into. The draft regulation that has come, based on that, the performance criteria that has been mentioned, that will be based only, that will be the highest performance that will be can be achieved only through, with our experience, we see that can be achieved only through the battery storage, or so the thermal plants may not be able to achieve that level of 95% or so, but we are looking into that direction where we can improve our performance along with the battery storage as a strategy.
Thank you. Mangesh Navarenge, just want to know from the technological bottlenecks, what are that have been observed by ABB in the recent implementation of the AGC pilot at the thermal, hydro, and also the solar power plants that you are being undertaking?
Maybe I start with solar first, easy to describe, because the way solar plants are implemented in terms of automation technology is quite different the way thermal and hydropower plants are. And when we are trying to add AGC, which is automatic generation control plus power plant control, both these aspects, because the plants which have been set up, let's say until 2018, 2019, those plants are also without the power plant control mechanism. So when we start looking at those plants for AGC implementation, it is AGC plus power plant control, the combination of two which has to come together. And often collaboration with a third-party system, a SCADA vendor, is important, is necessary, because most of the things in solar plant are operating on soft signal basis, unlike hydro or thermal power plant. So having a good documentation about systems is very important. I would say that will save a lot of time for everyone when you embark on this journey of AGC implementation. Coming to hydro, in our experience, we have also seen that knowing what is happening with AGC, some of the hydro plants also approached, and then it was identified that they are still running with the mechanical governor control. So basically, you have to have some kind of an electronic governing control, and then only the plant is, let's say, ready, or there is a feasibility to implement AGC. So these kind of technology benchmarking is necessary. And if I come to thermal, like Sushma Madam already touched upon the coordinated master control, so that could prove to be a bottleneck if it is not existing. But otherwise, thermal power plants are at a very good technology benchmark in terms of the automation that is implemented, and good cases really to start the AGC implementation without much of a bottleneck. The other important aspect that I want to highlight, which is not necessarily a bottleneck, but Madam also touched upon, is bringing cybersecurity in the purview. So whenever such implementations are done, what is happening is now we are really creating truly connected assets, right? The plants are now getting bidirectionally connected with the grid operators. So cybersecurity naturally comes into the picture. So the audits or necessary cybersecurity controls should be in place both on the generator side as well as on the system operator side. Yeah. Over to you, Mr. Nagaraj.
Okay, thank you. Now I think we should be able to take up the one more round of questions because we have ample time. Dr. Balaraman, how you see the secondary compensation market to encourage the renewable plants to participate in the AGC through the secondary reserve compensation markets? Therefore, basically the market and how you see that actually RE can participate. I would like to hear from you.
Thank you, sir. I think it's a pertinent question. I already answered this particular aspect. See, the enabling mechanism is the market or the regulations. So once the market is in place or the regulation is in place where we have an adequate compensation mechanism what is going to be given, I'm talking financial compensation, definitely it's going to be another area because today if you try to talk about both wind and solar having a very low tariff. So with this kind of a low tariff, they find an alternate mechanism for them to participate in the market and make a benefit out of it. And definitely I would see the secondary market is going to come in for the reserve market if it's going to plan in the country, and definitely is going to help the RE to directly participate in the reserve mechanism and can take a full utilization of it.
Nallarasan, from the system operator perspective, how you find the AGC operation different for the RE sources like wind and the solar with respect to the conventional generation?
Yeah, it's a very nice and good question also. This is expected lines also, this question I am expecting from you, expected from you. Okay, actually now the country is going to have the 175 gigawatt as well as a 450 gigawatt in the future, around 2030 also. See now all the power plants because of the commercial mechanism, because of the merit order dispatch, so the plants are coming under going for the reserve shutdowns, and some of the plants are operating at the technical minimum. So we could able to see that the frequency rising almost in each and hourly boundary as well as our the almost 20 to 25% of the time frequency in the higher band throughout the day. So in order to have a smooth control on the frequency and around 50 Hz, hovering around 50 Hz, or maybe within the band as defined by the regulator. So we need to have the control mechanism even in the RE plant also. So as Nagaraja, our Chandrasekhar already told, so regulation down for the thermal power plants can be implemented. Yes, fine. So now the present technology already, ABB, our panelist also has told that there are lot of technology inverters, and Balaraman are also told it can be accommodated. So both RE, wind and solar, actually now the solar experiment was going on, and solar slowly it will be coming under the regulation. And wind also we should have the controls, whatever it is having the type 4, whatever the technologies come, either pitch control or even our generator control, all the other controls it is there. We have to try to utilize. And the present high frequency, the states are curtailing the RE without this thing because of the high frequency conditions and all. Now if the machines are put under the AGC, at least already even the Chandrasekhar told in the first line of what is the way forward, it has to economic way of benefit. So the RE will be, then they will be getting benefit on it. Provided like conventional generators, as Balaraman sir already told, the compensation mechanism has to be once again formulated for the RE so that they can participate. But it is required for especially 2030, we required even all the complete RE generators should be coming under the AGC to maintain the frequency within this thing. Because we are not adding more thermal generators. We are adding only some quantum only, not with it. But the natural resources, the daytime as well as the night time, that has to be used properly to maintain the frequency for the smooth grid operation. Thank you. Over to now.
Thank you. See, over the period, actually, the market is going to come in a big way. And then I would like to see how with the conventional generation coming down, and also we are not able to have actually, even though we have got a merit order dispatch, we are not able to dispatch the expensive thermal energy. I would like to find out with Sushma Kumari, how actually the NTPC is looking forward to participate in the secondary market in India, because actually once your the committed generation comes down because of the higher penetration of the RE, how you are looking from the business perspective to participate in the secondary market?
Sir, ours is at present there is a secondary market. Once if it is there, we will definitely participate aggressively. And I see that the stations which are having higher ECR, that can be put in the market, and that can serve as an ancillary services. Although at present we do not have a spare capacity, because all our power is tied up with the different beneficiaries. So today we are not in a position to be in the market. If the regulation changes, or if everything comes to the market, then definitely we will be going to the market. And I see that the higher ECR stations that may get dispatched with this ancillary services and tertiary market. Thank you.
Thank you. In fact, when I wanted to sell the idea of the AGC for the Sharavati plant, to convince actually the various authorities and all, what I told them is, today you are getting 50 paisa for the 1 unit of energy generated. And in the market, for the secondary market, when you try to play the hydro resources, the Sharavati, the value of the Sharavati generation is not just 50 paisa, it can be 3 rupees, 3 rupee 50 paisa. Therefore, we need to find out what is the real value of actually the participating in the secondary market of various generations. Now, Mr. Mangesh, I would like to know from you, what are the suggestions or the pre-requirements on the generation plants from the vendor perspective when AGC is being rolled out at the national level, so that your job is made easy?
Yeah. From the generation perspective, I think when the specifications are drafted, I mean, as you already said, not many new thermal power plants are coming up. So essentially, we are looking at hydro and solar generation. And when these new power plants are coming up, it will be good to see the specifications are adopted in such a way that the systems deployed are future ready. And when I say future ready, so whenever they are going to implement their AGC phase, or they are due to implement AGC, the overall job is made easy. We don't have to do a lot of retrofitting. So those kind of requirement adaptations, expanding the existing requirement, taking AGC into purview, will be a step in right direction. That's one thing I can see. Also, bringing standardization. Okay, obviously implementing or setting up a new plant for a developer is going to cost money. But what is also important is looking at how the overall Indian grid code is evolving, and being aware of, mindful of that situation when implementing the technologies and solution. So going forward in future, they are not taking a step back to align themselves with this new evolved grid codes. So that mindfulness is necessary, and it's not really going to cost them a lot when they take that into consideration in the first. The other thing also I want to add is with the AGC system being now a common interface or a communication point between the grid operator and in an automatic way, whatever we see in terms of the grid code evolution and its applicability to various generators, the AGC system, it becomes a natural platform to adapt to this new evolving grid codes and expand very easily and comply easily. That's what I can say.
Thank you. I think it is very much essential for the various other thermal power plants who have not yet implemented the AGC to learn from this vendor specification and also standardization. Now I will again come back to Dr. Balaraman. See, at present, we have not geared up in a big way for the offshore wind generation. But I was told that actually the offshore wind power plants can be as big as 12 megawatt plus. Already the turbines are available. Therefore, with the offshore wind farms with a higher individual turbine capacity to the tune of about 12 megawatt plus, do you feel that the AGC is a must for the wind farms? And what is the NIWE action plan for the offshore wind farms also? I would like to hear from you.
Thank you, sir. Just to add to the previous questions, okay, just a few hours back, we had a discussion on the ETD 46 committee of the BAS to formulate the smart inverters, whatever is going to take care of the requirements what is needed for the grid. So, in fact, we are recommended to have both. One is on the specification in line with the 1547 standards of IEEE, and also the IEC 80A is also formulating the standards part of it. So we are already looking into that particular direction, so that it's going to be very easy for the vendors to come out very clearly what's the need for the grid. And coming back to your question on the offshore, as you're aware, the India has got the potential, the commercial potential of 70 gigawatts, and the ministry is already, and the government has already made around 30 gigawatt as the what do you call the target by 2030. So as you're aware, today the most of the offshore the wind turbines is coming to the capacity of 8 megawatts to 10 megawatts, and the GE has already come out with a 12 megawatt turbine, and very latest the Chinese turbines are coming out with 16 megawatt turbines. So today, if you try to talk about offshore, the turbines is going to be increasing, and very importantly, even today, if you try to talk about wind turbines, all the wind turbines are connected to wind power plant controllers, where all this action, what you're trying to talk about, the voltage regulations, the frequency regulations, the AGC, everything can be implemented. And with the additional controls, what is needed, it can be implemented. So I don't see much of a challenge when you're trying to talk about the wind part of it. And of course, in the solar, the solar power plant controllers, for some of the modern solar power plants, you have it, but some of the power plants, you may not have this particular one. So these are the one area where we need to start mandating to have the power plant controllers, which is going to take care of these requirements.
Thank you, Dr. Balaraman. Any panelist can answer. See, basically at present, when the AGC was implemented at Dadri and also here, we are talking about a markup price of about 50 paise. That is what actually we are talking about. And I would like to know, till actually the solar, for example, initially there was a feed-in tariff, almost about 14 rupees or so. Now there is a competitive market. Before the market comes into place, if at all we have to incentivize the generating stations to participate in the AGC, what is the markup price from the existing tariff that you would like to see? Therefore, Dr. Balaraman can tell from the wind perspective what is the markup price, and then Sushma can tell with respect to the thermal. Maybe Nallarasan or Mangesh can talk about with respect to the solar. So that actually you would like to see what is the markup price that you feel that yes, this should be the markup price.
Yes, I just want to give, I think I put as my wish list for a wind and the solar industry both together. And my wish list is going to be, if it's for the regulation down. When the regulation down is going to happen, definitely I'm going to see the generation getting curtailed. So I would see very clearly, we have number of the 75% of the tariff would have been given maybe on the FIT, or it may be the tariff would have been to be payable for the wind farm or the solar farm owner, plus the 50 paise, which is going to give a clear incentive for them to participate and give their plan to be available for AGC. And again, if you're trying to have the regulation have to be required, so definitely we know what's the kind of forecasting will be there for a wind and solar. So we know very well what's the kind of energy to be curtailed so that to maintain for a particular period of hour. It may be 3 hours or 4 hours. So accordingly, the same mechanism can be adopted. The 75% of what is a tariff that's going to be curtailed, and then the incentive is going to give very clear mechanism for them to operate.
Sushma Kumari?
Sir, at present, for the markup price in thermal plant is 50 paise, but with reference to the draft regulation that has come out, it talks about the based on performance. When we will be going to implement the markup price with reference to the performance, thermal plants may not be able to touch 95% and above performance because of the inherent CMC, because the signals that goes to the CMC coordinated master signal, it goes via boiler also, and there is a time delay. So quantification of the actual signal that has been asked for and the delivery is not very simple. And we see that the performance may not go beyond 75-80% or so. This is one aspect. The quantum at present, at least the thermal generators should be compensated or should be incentivized at least at the present rate. While and at present it is giving the compensation is being the incentive is being given for up as well as for down. In the draft regulation that has come, in that the unit will be unit commitment. If you go, unit commitment is there, but for coming down, we are saving on fuel, but there is no such compensation for lowering down. That is there. That also needs to be looked into.
Nalasan, from the system operator perspective, what you would like to recommend? You have to be neutral. I think you are muted. Can you unmute?
Yeah. Initially, we take up the project of Dadri and we went to the regulator. So the markup price was debated from the regulator side as well as from the POSOCO side. So finally, we came to the level of 50 paisa per markup price as a both regulation up and down. Then subsequently, we went for once again the regulations. Actually, we for the implementation of the complete all the power plants in the country. So because of that, because more and more power plants are in the company, more going to participate. So the markup, even the, there was an argument, there was a debate. It was going the markup price need to be reduced, market price need to be this one because more and more plants going to be there. And then subsequently after that discussions and everything, let us continue the market, this one, markup price of 50 paisa for the thermal power plant as well as hydro power plant. That is the advantage on that actually. So till what I mean to say, till the stabilization getting done, till that time that this can be continued. Along, already the draft regulation, MBD regulation come that performance based. Actually, in other countries, CPS1, CPS2 performance based payment mechanism is there. So here also we'll try to bring it in the same way. But for that, the study and other thing, and we'll have to go into the detail. So after that, only we can think of the next changes, what is going to come on that actually. So let us continue till the stabilization occurs. That is the only thing from my side as a neutral.
Thank you. Mangesh, would like to add anything?
I think we have heard the beneficiaries and we have heard the neutral stakeholder as well.
But you may be a consumer.
I can only I can only share my view. I think this is the beginning, and at least there is some kind of a draft and pricing mechanism is in place. We have already heard there are requests to look at revising these prices. And as we move forward with more and more plants getting added to this AGC, the volume increases. I think that is the time we will come to the right equation. Maybe it can go below, which is my take on it. Most likely it will go below because now you have a more competitive market, more people participating in it. So everybody will strive for performance and their share of additional business revenue. So I think that type of an open competitive market will really decide what should be the compensation mechanism.
This is going to be there. The recent MBD regulations, I think a draft regulation still speaks about. So let the things goes on the discussions after that can decide.
I think now the extempore talk and also the closed door examinations are over. Now let us try to get open to the audience Dr. Atla, can you just read out if at all there are any questions from the chat box so that actually all the participants can participate and then try to answer?
Yes, sir. So there is one question. What are the different key challenges that exist with the implementation of primary and secondary frequency control in large-scale solar PV plants in India? So basically, I think we already talked about the secondary. His intention is to concentrate on the primary frequency control from the solar.
Yeah.
Dr. Balaraman, you would like to add?
Yes, sir. As I mentioned in the previous discussion, so in the wind power plant, we have what is called a wind power plant controller is there, where it can take the signals to take care of the primary and secondary requirements, where you need to have additional controls to be added there. The similar manner, even in most of the large solar power plants, we do have a power plant controller. Of course, Mangesh can throw me some more light because it's already implemented some of the areas. Wherever it is not necessary, wherever it's not there, we need to have the power plant controllers and also the combination of small inverters, and this can take care of the requirement of both primary and secondary reserve market part of it.
Yeah, I agree with what Mr. Balraman said. Secondary frequency control or operationalizing these secondary reserves, AGC is the way to go forward. For primary frequency control, for example, the way we do it in thermal or a hydro, because when I look at turbine, I look at them as dumb machines, mechanical machines. And that's when the controller plays a role of so-called the primary frequency control. But when we come to the inverter side, for example, inverters are smart gadgets or the smart equipments. And if we look at inverters and the way they behave to the variations in the voltage and the frequency at the grid level, they have, let's say, inherent mechanism to react to these type of changes. Because primary frequency response is something which is for a very short period of time and which is for a very narrow band and a fast acting. So I believe that's where inverter plays a major role than the power plant controller, really speaking. And I think today's inverter, with the kind of specification they come with, they are already taking care of that part. But besides inverter, everything else is a dumb, and that's when you really need a controller to, make them intelligent for a primary as well as secondary control.
Okay. Dr. Atla, any more questions?
No, as of now, that's only, sir.
Okay. Then I think I just want to know today we have seen the battery energy storage system also is taking up. The next thing is what is going to come is the EV, electric vehicle, and then if at all EV penetration increases, we are also talking about V2X. Therefore, I would like to hear from the panelists what studies are required, or at least from the technology perspective, what is that we need to do, what R&D, research and the development activities we need to initiate, so that tomorrow when the vehicle EV penetration increases in the grid, how actually V2X can participate in the secondary and also to overcome the inertial response whenever it is required, because most of the vehicles are parked and then we may be using not more than about 1 to 2 hours, at least in the cities and towns. Therefore, I would like to just hear from the participants, what are the R&D effect that actually we should look for, so that actually we are geared up for the V2X in the years to come. I start with Dr. Balaraman, so that actually NIVEC should be able to initiate some of the R&D effort.
Thank you, sir. Moving forward, yes, storage is going to play a critical role in the RE integration and in particular making the grid to be stable. So when you talk about storage, the storage can be the two parts of it. One is the with-hour storage, what we are trying to contemplate, like what BSES has already implemented, and we are trying to see how to take care of the primary and secondary. The other very important aspect, basically missing it on in every domain, is going to be the what is called the portable storage. So the portable storage, what we are trying to talk about, the EV segment. The EV segment, it is not necessary that every EV is going to participate. But question is going to be how we are going to bring them into this code and how we are going to make an interactive manner. So this is where a big challenge is going to lie. Even today, if we try to talk about in most of the rooftop segment, where again, I use the word example rooftop segment here, the solar, where we have a lot of restriction in the grid and particularly security aspect of it. This is where once if you can streamline the rooftop segment. So we can start looking in this EVs to be a part of the segment or it's going to come in itself, because I don't find much of a difference between rooftop segment where it's going to inject the energy, and similarly the battery is going to come and inject the energy as and when is required. So we need to have a lot and a lot. Again, I'm talking about the smart inverters. The smart inverters is a critical mechanism what is going to come into picture. And here I'm trying to look into the holistic approach. One is going to be a consumer is already a prosumer. And in the prosumer part of it, how we are making the solar rooftop is going to come as a prosumer part of it. And in addition, I also try to talk about how we can play a role in terms of the storage, what is having in the EV segment. So yes, a lot of challenge is going to come in. And if you're moving forward, the future grid dynamics, particularly system operator, definitely I being system operator for the past and also on the segment of the training part of it, I would see a role of system operator is going to be very, very dynamic to look into the every segment part of it, every second part of it, and also look into the lot of markets.
Nallarasan, you would like to add anything? Because we are already, I think, almost over our time. But if what are you to add anything?
Actually, it is a complete dynamics have to be seen. I think you're told the V2A, V by X parameter. So how it is going to be affect the grid and how much the things going to come in the grid. And especially there is a incentives, those who will be in the morning time or evening peak time, whatever be the thing. So that sort of charging or discharging, whatever be the condition. So they have to completely, we have to study on the issues. And then presently technology is growing. Let us see what is going to happen in that. That is the only thing from my side.
Okay. Thank you. At the outset, again, let me thank the Dr. Balaraman, Nallarasan, Sushma Kumari, and also Mangesh for this great panel. We had a very good discussions, and then definitely these are all going to help us out in the integration of the large-scale renewable energy generation sources. New concepts of power system like the microgrid, smart grid, there also we need to see how actually this can be looked into. And the digitalization of the control structures in the power system network over the period. Therefore, I am happy to have you all as a panelist. And then we had a great discussion. Hope the participants got benefited. Now let us try to conclude the panel. And I would like to hand over to the organizers. Thank you very much.